Welcome to the deep dive. I want you to just imagine something for a second. What if the real secret, to unlocking innovation or tackling those really stubborn problems that keep you up at night and, well, truly advancing in your career and life, what if it wasn't actually about having all the right answers? What if it was really about asking better, more incisive questions? Okay, so let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the, well, often overlooked yet totally critical power of questioning. We're drawing our insights mainly from Warren Berger's fantastic book, A More Beautiful Question. And our source material, it really shows us that breakthrough inventions and, hugely successful ventures, they often don't begin with a brilliant solution.
No, they don't.
They start with a really well-formulated question. Think about it, right? So many great products, companies, even whole industries trace their origins back to a simple why, or maybe a powerful what if. So, our mission for you, the listener, in this deep dive is basically to equip you with a framework and a mindset, really, to turn your natural curiosity into, well, focused inquiry. We want to help you not just recall more from the information you consume, but to get deeper, actionable insights. And ultimately, to adopt these powerful questioning habits in your daily life and work, we're going to explore some practical ways to foster what we're calling a questioning mind.
It's pretty remarkable how counterintuitive that can feel, isn't it? Most of us, the sources seem to say, we default to plowing ahead.
Yeah.
We stick to what we've always done, barely stopping to ask if we're even on the right path anymore. It's like this intellectual momentum kind of keeps us from stepping back and genuinely assessing things.
Yeah, I think we've all felt that kind of treadmill effect. But okay, if our default is just to keep going, what's the actual circuit breaker? How do we make ourselves pause and ask that better question? I love that anecdote in the sources about the person who, given an hour to solve a life or death problem, they'd spend the first 55 minutes just making sure they were answering the right question.
Exactly.
That really highlights how the question itself can be way more critical than the immediate answer you jump to.
Absolutely. The question defines the whole problem space, right? And a well-defined problem is often half solved, as they say. And thinking bigger picture, questions inherently challenge authority, don't they? They disrupt established structures, processes, systems. They force people to at least think about doing things differently.
Right.
And that can definitely make people uncomfortable, especially the experts who, well, the saying goes, might stop thinking because they know. They've categorized everything, filed it away, and that kind of limits their view of new possibilities, new solutions.
That's a really important distinction, though. How can our listeners, practically speaking, tell if their why is genuine inquiry or if it's just, a fancy way of complaining? What's the litmus test for a beautiful question versus just, well, a grievance?
Well, a grievance often just stops right there at voicing dissatisfaction. A genuine question, as our sources highlight, aims for understanding and action. It digs deeper, right? It seeks root causes or alternative solutions rather than just pointing out a flaw and stopping. And this also makes us think about the whole nature of knowledge today. Think about it. In this world just overflowing with information, where basically any answer is a quick search away, simply knowing facts is almost, well, it's becoming a commodity. It's almost worthless on its own. Our sources argue the real power isn't in just collecting knowledge bits. It's in your ability to sculpt it, to bend it towards a purpose, to fuse different pieces into a new understanding, all driven by a sharp question. Your ability to triangulate multiple sources, evaluate them, construct your own understanding, that's paramount now.
So it's less about just having the data points and much more about what you do with them and the questions you ask of them.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental shift, yeah. And it really reinforces that idea that you don't truly learn unless you question. It's not just about passively absorbing information, but actively engaging with it.
Exactly. Even top scientists, people at the forefront of discovery, they actually embrace ignorance. It's key to unlocking new insights. They openly acknowledge what they don't know, and that's what propels them forward. It's a kind of humility that actually fuels progress.
Okay, so how do we make this operational? How do we actually do this? Warren Berger gives us this innovation formula that I really like. Q questioning plus A, action I, innovation. And he contrasts this with QA equals its philosophy, which really hits home that, thinking without doing just stays theoretical. Why is that action part so absolutely critical?
Because without action, a question is just a thought experiment, right? This doesn't actually impact the real world.
Yeah.
And the process itself, it can be kind of broken down into three basic stages. First, you kick off with why. This is all about understanding the problem, refusing to just accept the existing reality, digging deep.
Okay.
Second, you move to what if. This is where you generate ideas Imagine possible improvements, possible solutions, and then finally you tackle the how. That's the implementation stage, making those possibilities real.
Right. Let's start with that foundational why stage. It sounds simple, but it's where the really innovative questioners begin. They ask why a situation exists, why it's a problem or maybe an opportunity, why it hasn't been addressed before, and crucially, why you or your team even want to invest time in solving it. It's like finding a problem before others even see it.
And a really powerful aspect of this is that concept of the beginner's mind, or neoteny, as Joe talks about it.
Yeah.
It's that ability to look at something completely fresh, like before your brain automatically slaps a label on it and files it away as known. Because once things are labeled and filed, we often just stop thinking about them critically. Experts, in this sense, sometimes have fewer possibilities in their minds, precisely because things are already known. A beginner's mind is just open to all possibilities, like a child seeing something for the very first time.
That's powerful because it directly challenges our natural human tendency to think we know more than we actually do. But how do we actually cultivate that beginner's mind? It sounds great, but to truly ask why, you have to step back from both the doing and the knowing. It means questioning those existing realities, those assumptions we all make. Like, why should we settle for what currently exists? Or, why should I believe you when you say something just can't be done? What's a practical way for our listeners to start doing that stepping back?
Well, for a practical tool, you could consider the 5 whys methodology. It came out of Toyota. It simply involves asking why 5 times in succession to really drill down to the root cause of a problem.
Ah,
It forces you past the superficial symptom to the actual underlying issue. Why is the system slow? Because X.
yeah.
Okay, well, why is X slow? Because Y. You keep going until you hit that core reason. And furthermore, this stage really benefits from what's sometimes called contextual inquiry, asking questions up close and in context,
Meaning?
meaning observation, active listening, empathy, but in real-world situations, not just sitting and thinking abstractly. It requires a real commitment to the question you're exploring, actually getting out of the office and into the environment where the problem lives.
Okay, so once we've really nailed down that fundamental why, how do we then open ourselves up to the incredible creativity of what if? Sounds like the wide open fun stage, and our sources say it really shouldn't be rushed.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's where those open-ended questions, the kind you can't just answer with simple facts, really shine and encourage creative thinking. It's about letting your imagination roam free.
It's pretty remarkable how great innovators, people like Picasso or Steve Jobs, were described as natural wrong thinkers. They were just incredibly adept at connecting seemingly disparate ideas.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who maybe aren't naturally wrong thinkers, we can intentionally encourage this. How? By combining ideas from faraway places.
Mm-hmm.
The sources even suggest a simple exercise. Pick 2 totally random words from a dictionary and just try to force a connection or an idea between them.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds a bit silly, maybe, but it genuinely helps your mind practice forming those unexpected links.
It reminds me of that time I was trying to brainstorm dinner ideas, and I just kept landing on the same 3 things. Maybe I needed to combine leftover chicken with disco ball to spark something truly unexpected. But beyond that act of combining, I know my mind often needs some space for ideas to actually click together.
Exactly right. The mind absolutely needs time and space to work on these complex problems. Taking a break, sleeping on it, or even, as our sources suggest, visiting a museum or going for a walk. These things can stimulate that connective inquiry and lead to those brilliant aha moments. It's often not about working harder, but about working smarter with your mind's natural ability to synthesize information.
Okay, this brings up a really important point. Instead of just brainstorming ideas, what about brainstorming questions? That seems like a huge shift in approach.
It is.
Our sources show that when people are actually instructed to think and brainstorm using only questions, the floodgates of imagination just seem to open up.
Yeah, it really does.
It apparently increases engagement, gets more ideas flowing, and helps focus efforts, with the goal being to identify a few really promising, powerful questions to explore further. How could an individual listener apply this easily?
Just try it yourself, seriously. For any problem you're facing, just dedicate 5 minutes, set a timer, and only write down questions about it. No solutions allowed. You'll likely be surprised by the clarity it brings. And then, to frame those questions effectively, we have a really powerful tool, the How Might We framework.
Ah, yes, how might we?
Right. The how part assumes there are solutions out there, which gives you creative confidence. The might part says it's okay to put ideas out there that might not work. It allows for experimentation without that fear of failure hanging over you. And the we encourages collaboration, building on each other's ideas. It's all about framing it as, what if we could just start with a completely blank page?
Okay, so we've wrestled with the why. We've sparked all those amazing what ifs. Now comes the hard part, turning those brilliant possibilities into concrete hows. What's the biggest hurdle people usually face in this implementation stage? Where ideas actually get tested and, well, more often than not, seem to fall apart.
Yeah, the biggest hurdle is often that fear of failure, which can lead straight to paralysis by analysis. It's truly where the rubber meets the road, and it can feel like a slow, difficult march sometimes. But what's fascinating here, according to the sources, is that these failures are actually likely beneficial for learning, even if they really don't seem like it at the time.
I definitely find myself overthinking things at this stage, trying to get it perfect before I even start. But our sources suggest that's totally counterproductive.
Precisely. Most of us are kind of taught to hold back our ideas until they're perfectly polished, right? And that leads directly to overthinking and way too much preparation. But there's really no substitute for just quickly trying things out, getting feedback, and seeing what actually works in the real world. Innovative teams, they tend to start experimenting quickly, rather than getting bogged down debating the absolute best way to proceed. A critical step here is making a firm commitment to one idea to start. And just sharing your idea can create accountability, which helps motivate you to follow through.
That makes sense.
Also, visuals can be incredibly helpful in getting a team aligned on understanding the problem and the solution you're proposing.
It's so easy to just want to bury failures, isn't it? Just pretend they didn't happen. But our sources really urge us to hold them up to the light. Hmm. So when things inevitably do fall apart, how do we learn from it effectively, not just get discouraged?
Well, don't just ask the obvious what went wrong question. Dig deeper. Ask, in this failure, what did actually go right? Was it maybe the team's resilience? Or did you uncover an unexpected data point, something useful? And perhaps most powerfully, am I failing differently each time?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because if you're making new mistakes, you're learning, you're progressing. If it's the same old stumble again and again, that's a deeper signal that maybe your underlying approach is flawed. And the feedback you get, especially that dissonance, disagreement or pushback, can often be way more valuable than just simple affirmation.
That's a great insight, actually seeking out that dissonance instead of avoiding it. This whole process also sounds like it's probably not something you can easily do alone.
You probably can't answer really ambitious questions entirely alone, no. Collaborative inquiry often starts just by asking others, hey, do you find this question as interesting as I do? Want to maybe join me? You'd be surprised how often people are drawn to existing ideas they can help improve, rather than having to start something totally from scratch themselves.
That's such a great point about collaboration. It really is often a journey of collective inquiry, isn't it? Now, how do we take this incredible power of questioning and really apply it to our daily lives or work beyond just one specific innovation project?
Well, in today's business environment, which is so dynamic where answers seem to have shorter and shorter shelf lives, constant cyclical questioning is just vital. Leaders really should aim to be the chief question askers for their organizations.
Chief question asker. I like that.
Yeah, they need to continually probe, asking things like, what business are we really in? Or that challenging one, what if our company didn't exist? That one really helps reevaluate current operations without all the old biases baggage.
Right.
And perhaps one of the most important, yet often overlooked, what should we stop doing? Because if you can't figure that out, it might signal a lack of clear strategy or focus.
That what if our company didn't exist question is such a mind bender, isn't it? Forcing you to think from a completely clean slate. But this isn't just for big businesses, it's profoundly personal too. The source material really emphasizes the crucial role of self-questioning. Like when you're making a tough decision, instead of just agonizing over pros and cons, ask yourself, when I look back in 5 years, which of these options is going to make the better story?
Yeah. And self-questioning helps us identify our true desires beyond just what we've been told we should want. Ask yourself, is there something else you might actually want, besides what you've been told to want?
Hmm.
It helps cut through all that societal expectation noise. And for aligning your lifestyle with your value, your happiness, sometimes simple questions like, what is really important to me? Or even, what did I love doing when I was a child? can lead to profound insights.
Yeah.
The things we loved at age 6 or 8, they're probably still the things we truly love deep down.
And for challenging our own certainties, which, let's face it, we all have, that simple question, what are the odds I'm actually wrong here?
Hmm,
That can be such a powerful check on our natural tendency to be maybe a bit overly confident in our own views. It's like a quick mental reality check.
indeed. And while we might be full of great ideas and questions, the sources suggest the most successful innovators tend to devote themselves to just one ambitious yet actionable question at a time. It should be hard enough to be really interesting, keep you engaged, but realistic enough that you have some actual hope of answering it or at least making progress.
Okay.
And this often requires finding your own tortoise enclosure, like John Cleese described it, a quiet space or time for uninterrupted, focused thinking, where you can really concentrate on that one thing long enough to develop an idea properly.
That tortoise enclosure sounds like a real luxury in today's constantly connected, busy world. How can someone realistically carve out that kind of focused inquiry time?
Well, it might not always be a physical place. It could just be a designated time. Even just 15 minutes a day where you consciously put away distractions and focus only on that one key question can make a huge difference over time. And remember, the goal isn't always a final, neat, definitive answer. Often the true reward is the journey itself, the process of asking better and better questions. If you find yourself stuck, just remember the advice. Just try to get to the next question. That's progress.
So, to kind of recap everything, we've really explored the profound impact of intentional, structured questioning. It's about moving from why to truly understand a situation, then to what if to explore possibilities, and finally to how to take action and make those ideas real. It represents a fundamental shift, doesn't it, from merely valuing answers to valuing the questions themselves. And the hope is this equips you, our listener, to make more sense of the world and, frankly, make better decisions. So we really encourage you to try integrating this into your daily routine. Maybe just take a moment later today and consciously ask, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing it this way? And how might I do it better?
Yeah, and this raises an important, maybe more philosophical question to leave you with, something to mull over long after this deep dive is done, instead of constantly thinking about, what you would do if you absolutely knew you wouldn't fail. Perhaps a better, more beautiful question is, what's truly worth doing, whether you ultimately fail or succeed? It encourages a focus on purpose, on meaning, beyond just the fear of the outcome.